So we've been talking about prayers and times of silence and solitude. Here's a translation from the Spanish sermon that I just gave, or lecture. Some of the information might be the same or it might be different, but I'm just going to go ahead and roll with it. I might add or take away. So if you're interested, listen to the Spanish one. When we sit down in silence and solitude to contemplate and reflect on our past, we may ruminate on the positive and the past negative. This is important because it helps us learn lessons from the past, insights and wisdom moving forward. Now, God, in His grace, has allowed good and bad things to happen. I can't explain why He allows the good, why He allows the bad. That's just the way things are. Our job is to take that, learn from it, become stronger. So you might have encountered hurt, pain in the past, people who have done things against you, and you might have encountered people who have been good to you, encouraged you. You might have encountered joy and happiness, and all those experiences help us become who we are. We develop strengths, we become overcomers, and God has given us situations for us to handle so that we may grow and develop. Why He does it, I don't know. Our job is to just be grateful for them. Yes, and that's hard to say because even our pains and our hurts are there for a reason. Now, we can develop an attitude of complaining and grumbling. And you see the psalmist and even Jesus, and sometimes like people like Abraham and Moses, complain to God. And then you see Israel and certain people complain to God. And sometimes it's sinful, sometimes it's not. What's the difference? The difference is that when Jesus, the psalmist, Moses complained to God, at the end of it, and especially in most psalms that you see what they're called prayers or psalms of complaining, they end with saying that they trust God. They have confidence in Him, in the future that He will save them. Whereas with Israel and with some of these people in the Bible that complained that were sinful, they never got beyond the pain and the hurt. And I know that's normal. I know that depression is normal, that pain and hurt is normal. But what happens is we move beyond that into faith, hope, and courage. And it's hard to say that in the midst of the struggle. But if we go to God in prayer, it's okay to go to Him and tell Him how we feel. And those feelings are normal. They will come, they will go, but then we move forward with faith. So if you stay there, you more than likely will be depressed. Okay? So if you look in the future, we look with courage, with hope. We look in the future knowing that God will be there with us. Why? Because He's gotten us over these situations in the past. And we were in difficult circumstances, dealing with difficult people. And now we're stronger. And we're wiser. I know that I've experienced dealing with certain type of people and a certain type of situation. But then further along the road, I'm like, oh, this person has semblances, seem like the person that was negative or positive in my life. And that helps me be cautious or trust the person or know if I'm stumbling into another mistake. So all those past situations have made me not naive. It's made me stronger. It's made me more competent for the future. So when we look at our future, we're not in anxiety. Now that's hard to do because especially in these situations, people have a lot of anxiety. What's the difference between anxiety and hope? Well, if you have hope for the future, you're taking precautions, you're planning, you're preparing, and you're productive, right? All the P's. But if you have anxiety, you're paralyzed. You're not doing any of that. You're not really planning. You're not preparing. You're just being reactive. You're going out and buying 20 big packs of toilet paper, right? You're doing ridiculous stuff that where your emotions are just taking over. Whereas if you are persevering, you're patient, you're preparing, you're planning, you're taking precautions, that is all good. Because all that, what it is, it's moving you to action. Once again, anxiety paralyzes you and you really don't do anything. Now, how does that affect us in our present? In our present, we now have peace because we've seen where God has taken us, what we've been out of, what we've experienced, what we have overcome. We know that He'll do that in the future. We know that He's going to help us through situations we're going to overcome. So in the present, we're mindful. We have peace. We persevere. Things come and we don't freak out. We don't get paralyzed. We're not turbulent, as it says here. We're not troubled and paralyzed. We're actually doing things. The worst thing you can do in situations like this is like just not clean your room, not cut the grass. It's okay if you don't shave, but just not get on a diet, continue your diet, just not exercise, just not keep working, because then you start spiraling down into depression and spiraling down into anxiety. And you want to stay busy. You want to keep habits or develop new habits. One of the things that they say when people are grieving, and you may be grieving for a loss of a job, you may be grieving for loss of hours, you may be grieving because you're not going out anymore or meeting with people at church or what have you, is to get back to work. Do something productive. Do something productive in your house. Start a new remodeling project. You may hear in the background here, our neighbor, he's out of work, but he's remodeling his home. He's doing something, right? I can feel like, oh, I'm not going to church. I'm not teaching and preaching. I'm doing the sermons and lectures via media, right? And be courageous. Know that God is with you. So how do you do this? Okay, quick suggestions. Some people go to their room in silence and solitude. Introverts will talk to God quietly and pray and be present. I can't do that. I fall asleep. Some will journal. There's a guy named Tim Ferriss. I don't think he's Christian, but he has a very good practice of writing down what he's grateful for. That helps him stay centered and focused and hopeful for the future. Also, there's some guys who go out and they walk, or gals, or young ladies, or women. I don't want to use not PC terms. They'll go and they'll walk alone. I walk with my dog. So it's God, me, and my dog, and we pray to God, right? Some work out. I'm not being legalistic. Find a way of you utilizing this time you have to pray in silence and solitude. Now, I do pray for those who have actually more work, like doctors. There's some construction workers and some people who are in industries like retail who are actually working more and have less time to be alone with God. So I pray for them that they, in this busy time, may have more time to be alone with God. You have that opportunity. Utilize it. Get to work. Be tough. Overcome. And know that God's with you.